Have you ever received a call so late at night that it made your heart race before you even picked up? It was 11:30 p.m. when my phone started vibrating on the nightstand. The name flashing across the screen was my neighbor Aisha. Her trembling voice whispered, "There's someone in my house." What happened next is something I will never forget. Before we begin, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel because this story will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very end. The clock on my wall ticked quietly in the dim light of my living room as I was halfway through a late-night movie. The street outside was silent. Not a single car. Not even the usual barking dogs. That eerie calm was broken by the sudden vibration of my phone. I frowned, glancing at the screen. Aisha, it read. My neighbor who lived just across the street. We weren't very close friends, but we had a respectful bond. A wave when we saw each other, a shared smile when collecting mail, but something about getting her call at 11:30 p.m. felt strange. I picked up immediately. Her voice was barely audible, shaking like a leaf caught in the wind. Wasim, please don't hang up. There's someone in my house. My body went rigid. What do you mean someone's in your house? I whispered, lowering the TV volume. I could hear her breathing fast, uneven. I was about to sleep when I heard footsteps from the living room. I thought it was the cat, but it wasn't. I saw a shadow was Siam. It moved. My pulse quickened. I looked out my window. Her house was right there. Lights off except for a faint glow coming from the upstairs room. Lock your room door, Aisha, I instructed immediately. I'll call the police. But she interrupted, whispering harshly, "No, please don't. What if he hears me talking?" My mind raced. I could almost picture her clutching her phone, trembling, hiding somewhere in the dark. Okay, I said, grabbing my flashlight and jacket. Keep the line open. I'm coming. Without another thought, I slipped on my shoes and dashed out into the cold night. The air outside was still. No wind, no sound. Only the faint crunch of gravel beneath my feet as I crossed the narrow street. A faint light flickered from her upstairs window, and I could feel the unease building in my chest. When I reached her porch, I tried the front door. It was slightly ajar. My heart jumped. I pushed it open slowly, whispering, "Aisha." My voice echoed faintly through the living room. Silence. I moved carefully inside, flashlight sweeping over furniture and shadows. The faint smell of jasmine air freshener lingered, mixed with something metallic. Maybe fear, maybe dust. "I'm here," her voice whispered through the phone. "I'm in the closet upstairs." I nodded instinctively, even though she couldn't see me. Step by step, I climbed the staircase, the old wood creaking under my weight. The light from the hallway bulb flickered above, adding to the eerie tension. My flashlight beam caught something on the floor, a half-drunk cup of tea, still warm. Someone had been there recently. When I reached her bedroom, I found the closet door slightly open. "It's me," I whispered, and she slowly emerged, her face pale, eyes wide, clutching her phone. "I heard him again," she whispered urgently. "Downstairs near the kitchen." I nodded silently, gesturing for her to stay behind me. Together, we crept down the stairs, each sound amplified by the silence. My flashlight moved toward the kitchen, where the refrigerator's hum was the only sound. Then suddenly a shadow darted past the hallway. Aisha gasped softly. I froze. Someone was definitely inside. My adrenaline spiked as I reached for a kitchen knife lying near the counter. The figure moved again. Quick. Silent. I shouted, "Who's there?" No response. Then a loud thud. Something fell in the living room. We rushed toward it, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. But what we found stopped us cold. The living room window was wide open, curtains fluttering in the breeze. Outside, faint footprints led toward the backyard. I ran to the door, shining my light into the darkness, but the figure was gone. I turned back to Aisha, who was trembling uncontrollably. "I swear I saw him," she said, voice breaking. "He was tall, wearing a hoodie, just standing there. I called the police anyway. They arrived within minutes, combed through the house, checked the backyard, but found nothing except footprints that vanished near the street corner. One of the officers suggested it might have been a burglar scared off by my arrival. But something about it didn't feel right. After they left, I stayed with Aisha for a while to make sure she was calm. She thanked me repeatedly, her eyes red with exhaustion. "I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come," she whispered. I smiled softly, but something about her house, about that faint metallic scent, stayed with me long after I returned home. I couldn't sleep. That night, I kept replaying everything in my head. The open window, the warm tea, the sound of footsteps, and then one thought hit me like a thunderclap. The tea was fresh when I entered, but she said she was already in her room before she called me. So, who made it? The next morning, sunlight streamed through my curtains, but I couldn't shake the unease that clung to me. Aisha's call kept echoing in my mind. I went over for a quick check. She looked exhausted, but seemed better. She thanked me again and assured me she was fine. "It was probably just a thief," she said with a forced smile. But her eyes, they told a different story. I left after a few minutes, but as I was leaving, I noticed something odd. The backyard gate had been relatched from the inside. Whoever escaped last night hadn't gone out that way. The following nights were quiet, too quiet. I couldn't stop myself from watching her house every night through my window. Lights turning on and off, curtains drawn. But 3 nights later, at 11:30 p.m., the same time as before, my phone rang again. Aisha's number. My stomach twisted as I answered. "Wasim, he's back." My blood ran cold. "Stay where you are. Lock the door," I shouted, already rushing out. The street was darker than usual, the street lamp near her house flickering. I reached her porch, but before I could knock, I heard a faint sound whispering coming from inside. My pulse pounded as I pushed the door open. The living room looked exactly as before, neat, silent, except for the sound of muffled crying upstairs. I climbed the steps cautiously, calling her name. The whispering stopped. Her bedroom door was half open, and when I stepped inside, I froze. The closet door was wide open this time, empty. "Aisha," I called, but no reply. Then I heard her voice behind me. "Wasim, don't move." I turned slowly. She was standing at the doorway, pale as paper, clutching her phone, eyes wide with terror. "He's here," she whispered, pointing toward the window. I turned my flashlight and there he was. A man tall, wearing a black hoodie, standing just outside the window pane, staring in. My breath caught as I lunged forward, but he bolted, disappearing into the night before I could reach the window. I ran outside, chasing him down the street, but he vanished into the shadows. When I returned, Aisha was sobbing uncontrollably. "He's been watching me for weeks," she confessed through tears. "I thought it was just paranoia, but he leaves notes sometimes on the porch." My stomach twisted as she handed me a crumpled piece of paper. It read, "You can't hide from me, Aisha." The police came again, searched the area, even installed cameras, but the man was never caught. It was like he vanished into thin air. Over time, things calmed down, but Aisha moved away a month later, saying she couldn't bear to stay. After she left, Her house remained empty, silent. But sometimes, late at night, I'd still see a faint light flickering in her old bedroom, even though the house had no electricity. One night, out of curiosity, I went over to check. The air inside was cold, musty, dust covered everything. I climbed upstairs, flashlight trembling in my hand. When I reached her bedroom, I found something that made my heart stop. A phone on the floor. Screen cracked, displaying a missed call log from my number. So, what really happened that night? Was someone truly in her house, or was the danger much closer than either of us ever realized? If you want to hear what I discovered later, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel because what came next changed everything.